Hello and happy Friday. We are in the studio today and we are going to be learning all about the world of plushies. I call them plushies. Sometimes softies is what people call them, or some hand stitching details, embroidery. We're going to go over all these steps with our amazing student. Can I call you a student?
Yeah, I can be a student today.
A student. I like to call these afternoon crafting sessions, especially because it's Friday, our crafternoon. Maybe we can toy that idea.
Yeah, let's play around with it.
A crafternoon with Kira, and we are going to learn, I'm going to show Kira the steps so you can craft along with us. Grab your supplies. We have the downloadable pattern, which of course has all the instructions that we will be going through today. In the download, it's also on the Craftsy page. But let's get started.
Yes, I'm excited.
Oh, good. Okay, so you've never done hand stitching before.
I haven't, no. So I have no idea what, any terms, anything we're doing.
Perfect. So in the instructions, of course, like I said, you will have all the actual handwritten instructions. This is the PDF to download, but there's also the pattern. And the one thing that I'm just going to back up for 2 seconds. If you know me or met me or have done anything live on any of the platforms with me, you know how much I love felt. And so I think that sewing with felt is one of the easiest things, and it's actually how I teach my kids to sew. And the reason is because, okay, so if you think about, these are just the various different softies that we have or plushies that we have. If you were to use any other kind of fabric, it frays on the edge. So the thing with felt is that you can cut it and you don't have to worry about the edge. You can just glue it or stitch it right on, and there's no need to finish the edge to make sure that it's all tucked under or whatever, finished. So it's more of a decorative, I would say, way to do things, which I really love. And of course it comes in a million different colors, which I love.
Oh, we're a big fan of that.
So I'm just going to give a little caveat about the pattern. The thing I've learned is that kids love to learn to stitch, and of course adults love to learn to stitch. Mm-hmm. So the pattern that we have is a little bit on the smaller side because it can be used as we have the made into keychains. I have another one here that I stuffed with lavender and I tuck it in my sock drawer. So when you pull your socks out, they smell really good. There's just a tip. I also have some little earrings. I don't know if you can see these little pizza earrings on. So the range of stuffies can be obviously super small to super big. And whenever I start teaching people, especially if they're kids, bigger is better because, we as adults have fine motor skills that we've developed for our childhood. But little kiddos, my daughter's in kindergarten, she's learning right now and her skills are not quite there, right? She's just learning to actually write things like the alphabet, right? So I would say err on the side of bigger for kids, and then we're doing something a little bit smaller. So this pattern we have right now is a little bit on the smaller side, but if you're feeling oh my gosh, I want to do this with my grandkid or my neighbor or my daughter's birthday party friends, whatever, I would just say what you can do when you're printing the pattern is you can enlarge it in the printer screen and make it bigger. Make it as big as you want, print it as big as you want, because the bigger the better for kids. And I have this, we were saying, look at the earrings match the plushie because I'm teaching a group of 3rd and 4th graders right now how to make pizza plushies, and the way that I start out with them, or had started out with them, or am starting out with them, is I'm actually having them glue their toppings on. So we're learning just one stitch, which is the first stitch we're going to start with today. Okay. So you kind of start simple and work bigger, and you can make this project as complicated or as not complicated as you want. And if you want to make it easy, 100% just use glue, hot glue, fabric glue. Probably Elmer's glue would probably.
Elmer's?
Maybe.
That would work.
I feel like Elmer's glue works for almost everything. Ooh. Although it might soak in
into
the fibers. I don't know. Play around with it. The goal of this, and I think the fun thing about plushies and stuffies is just to have fun, get creative, get crafty, move your hands, work those muscles, get your crafting memory going, and away we go. So, okay, there's a few questions coming in. There's one question. We're going to actually leave that one for a second. But, okay, the first thing we're going to do is actually cut the pattern out, which we have done. So on the very last page of your PDF, pattern, right? And it says on here, outside cut 2, hand cut 1. And the one thing I want to note is it says on the pattern is only cut the outside of the hand, because if you see on the plushie that we have, we're using the stitching to create the other hand, the outlines of the fingers.
Oh.
So like the stitching translates right to the outline of the finger. So when we're cutting, we're only cutting the outside. Okay. So I want you to pick your color of your hand you want to do, and then your background.
Okay.
So get that started. And there's a couple ways that I feel like you can pin. So we have traditional pins. So grab your background color. I know you said you love blue.
Yes. Ooh, I like this one a lot.
Ooh, okay, there it is.
This royal
So
blue.
what I like to do, turn it over and make sure there's no sticker on it. Sometimes when you buy these, sheets of felt, there's stickers on them. So what I like to do is if you fold I'm going to grab a background color here. Ooh, look at this sparkly pink.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to actually cut it in half quick so that I can layer them. And when you are traditionally sewing something, there's always a right side and a wrong side of the fabric, right? Okay. Like the patterned floral side will be the right side of the fabric, and the wrong side would be like the inside, which becomes the inside of your shirt. So exactly. Felt does not have a right or wrong side. Oh. Although I say that, and I'm actually eating my words because there's glitter on one side and not glitter on the other. So, but what I want you to do is if you have something like this where there's glitter or a pattern on your felt, put your wrong sides out. You're just going to fold it in half.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, just fold it in half. Yep. And fold it in half to give yourself enough space that when we cut our outside, so you obviously want enough space so that your outside
this one?
Shape, outside shape fits on there. Does that feel like it probably fits so that you can get to, okay.
Yeah, it looks like it.
These little clippy dealies, these are, I don't even know what these are called, but they're little clippies.
Okay.
I use them.
Clips.
Yeah, hair clips. They're kind of like butterfly clips, like that we had in the 90s.
Yes, I love those.
Okay, so these ones are awesome for kids, and I always use these to sew zippers when you're actually sewing. But we're going to use pins because I want to show you the trick on how we pin. So grab a straight pin.
This one? Okay.
Yep, and I would say give yourself, we're going to maybe want to pin 1, 2, probably 2 or 3 times on here. So let's maybe start at the top up here, and this is how I teach people to pin. Poke through so that you're through all the layers, but don't push your pin all the way in, so poke through. See how it's like a little bit?
Okay,
yep, poke through.
Like that?
Yep, exactly like that. And then you're gonna fold your fabric in half, like pinch it.
Okay, like that.
Yep. And then you're gonna kind of wiggle your pin straight, which will make it so you can poke all the way through right here. Oops. Yep, you're fine. So the first one's always hard because it feels like the fabric moves. Yep. So pinch your fabric totally together with your fingers. Yep. Perfect. Yep.
So now it's through. Out here?
Yep, well then, so then you're going to wiggle your pin so it kind of becomes straight and then poke all the way through. Yeah, just like that. Except for make sure you're poking through the other direction. Here, let me show you.
Yeah.
Here. So you're going to want to poke through, because you went this way, because we don't want to cut over the pin, right? So here, I'm going to show on the camera. So we want to poke through so that the entirety of the pin lands inside, just because you'll totally dull your scissors, which I've done before.
All right, yeah, that makes more sense looking at it that way.
Yep, so we're going to pull it out just a little bit and look at it holds. The goal is to have your pin come through the back and the front. And actually,
okay, perfect.
I feel like this is one of those things that oh my gosh, wow, once you get it down, it's like a life skill to be able to pin something in place. Okay, so grab another pin.
Fun one.
I know. These, I think those are quilting pins. I don't really actually no. I just have them. So let's do the same on the other side.
Okay.
So poke it through so that it's coming out the back. Yep. And then fold your fabric in half. Yep, there we go. And then just poke through the other side.
Oh, I don't think
Did you not poke all the way through? Yep. Ooh, there we go. Perfect.
And then
yep, fold in half. And sometimes when you even fold, sometimes the pin will start poking out the other.
Oh, there we go.
Da,
nice.
da, da, da.
I didn't even poke myself either.
I know. Actually, that's a question that Dawn has. Any tips on not poking yourself? I feel like just try and keep your fingers as best as you can away from the pokey part of the pin. But if you're teaching kiddos, I'm serious. These little clippies work really well. And so how I use them typically is I will cut kind of pre-cut the fabric a little bit in the general shape and then kind of pin it for the kids, and it'll be a lot easier. So this is what we used when I taught the little kids how to sew. So then all we're going to do is, so you have your 2 pieces of fabric and your pattern piece, and all you're going to do is grab your scissors, and we are just going to cut along the outside.
Okay.
Yeah. And when you're cutting, this is something I always tell people, it's so easy to want to just like snip, 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 snip with little snips. Actually, the sharpest part of your scissors, from what I understand, and somebody can totally correct me if I'm wrong, is actually the middle to like forward-ish. I mean, these are littler scissors, right? So,
do I cut it with the felt too?
Yep, so you're gonna cut the whole thing at one time. So I'm not actually cutting so that my scissors snip all the way through, because look at, it's not gonna actually cut the fabric, right? So I just kind of open my scissors, cut a little bit, open my scissors, cut a little bit, open my scissors, cut a little bit, and that will get a nice smooth cut.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that. Oh my gosh, exactly like that. Yes.
I'm so proud of myself.
I know, isn't it? This is part of crafting that is like kind of the best, is the like excitement.
I know, this is exciting. I'm like, woo, I'm gonna be professional soon.
Yes, we are. Okay, so background pieces. This fancy fabric is really fun. I like it.
I know, this is so pretty too, like the color.
It's awesome. Oh yeah, look at that, perfect. And those are, sharp scissors are kind of key to working with felt. So, I mean, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm teaching my kiddo and they're really, really little, obviously if you feel like it's the safest for you to do the cutting, please do. Don't feel like you have to make them do all the steps if you're feeling like it's a safety concern. We have a viewer, Dawn, also says she loves using these clips. I don't even know what they're called, but I keep calling them butterfly clips. Maybe it's because of the 90s that is
that doesn't remind me
up. Okay, here's a tip, and as you're cutting, I'm gonna explain this. So for a lot of my softies, you absolutely can use polyfill or stuffing of some kind. What I like to do sometimes, so I save all of these little scraps, right, from little things I've made with my kids or, whatever. I sometimes, these scraps become awesome stuffing materials. I know it's Earth Day, so obviously recycle, reduce, reuse. But I do feel like sometimes if you have a kiddo that you're like, oh my gosh, they don't want to cut out the actual piece, you can get them and just get them working on, a little side project of snipping up all of your little loose ends of felt that you're probably not going to use for a different project. And this can become stuffing. This is what we're going to use today, because I feel like all these little pieces can be used for something. So don't throw away your little pieces as you're cutting. You can just set it aside. Okay, how are we doing?
Good. I have to fix it up.
But this is exactly it. Exactly how it should be.
It is?
Yep. No, that's no. Keep going.
Okay.
That's it. No, that's exactly it. Because if you feel like, oh my gosh, there's a spot that doesn't look right, go ahead, get your scissors back in there.
Yeah. Okay, I see that.
Just keep cutting. Yep. And even if you take it, if we go to take our pins off and you're like, oh my gosh, that side doesn't look right, just give it a little trim. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason that it has to be exactly to the size of the pattern. But yeah, you're doing awesome. Oh, I love it. I love that blue. That's a good blue. Have you decided on your hand color yet? We kind of have a handful of skin tone options. We have, this is actually kind of like very peach. This is like mermaid princess color, which feels very like Ariel color, like that one. We have orangey.
Are you able to get this part?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Some of these parts. Okay, this is a great question. I love that. Yeah, can I steal your scissors? They're sharper. Okay, so this little corner right here, this little nook is a little bit tricky, right? Because you have a thicker piece of felt. So what you can do is just leave it as like a more graduated curve, or what I like to do is come from both sides. So come from this direction, and then it's like you're kind of notching it out a little bit, and then come from that direction. And sometimes it does take a little bit of hand control just to have to be able to stop your cutting, in that way. But look it's your background. It's beautiful. Okay, keep your background pattern piece.
Okay.
And then for the front of the hand, so the hand itself, what we're gonna do is, because we're using our stitching to actually make our outline, I would say you don't need to cut exactly on the lines. You can cut a little bit bigger, which might be easier.
Help.
Exactly. So grab I'm gonna actually do this like bright pinkish kind of color.
I like this color.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you think this would look good
with
the blue?
Oh, very much.
Okay.
I love it. And we only need one layer, so we don't need two. So sometimes if you have a big piece like that, if you want to cut off something that's a little bit smaller so it feels more manageable, absolutely do that, because I feel like that's going to be...
Could wear this with like a dress or a skirt. It's so long.
It's, sometimes when you go to big box stores, you can either buy a lot of this felt by like the square or by the yard, and for whatever reason, I guess that came in the yard. Yeah.
Should I do, okay.
I don't know that it matters, because I feel like, you can 100% use the extra for filling if you absolutely have to.
Okay.
But there's no rhyme or reason as to how, love it. So this cutting part, I feel like,
should I just put it there?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, throw it on the ground. There we go. This cutting part is the same with the pins. So grab a couple pins, and this is an interesting shape because we have the two, fingers, finger tendrils situation, right? So I would say let's put one pin this way, and one pin across.
Okay.
So start by poking through.
Okay.
And then fold it like your fingers are going backwards. Yep.
And then go through.
Poke right up. Yep. Yep, and just pull it. So the only thing is maybe pull it all the way out and start. See how I started my first poke that's closer down here?
Okay.
Because the goal is to get your pin all the way onto your pattern piece.
So like down there?
Yes, perfect. That's
Okay.
absolutely perfect. Yep, fold it in half and then poke through. Da, 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 da. There we go.
Perfect.
Yep, and the reason we're doing both fingers is just because when you're cutting, you don't want the fabric to fling around. You want the fingers, because they're extensions kind of the pattern. So we'll do the same for the other finger. So grab another pin, poke down here by this thumb area. Perfect. And then fold. Be careful not to poke yourself with the other one. Maybe we should have done it opposite. Kathy says you're doing a great job. Thank you. I love it. Okay, here we go. And then poke out. We have a few questions on sort of the beginnings of starting to sew softies or plushies. And is this easy? And I feel like it is an easy beginner sewing, learn to hand sew kind of project.
Definitely
right?
is.
Yeah. So, okay, so we have an option. You can absolutely put another pin this way, or it feels kind of sturdy. It feels kind of sturdy to me, right? Okay. So then let's begin. And when I'm cutting, I don't know if I explained this before, but I like to kind of hold my pattern plush to my fabric. And this is just how I choose. Some people, I think, hold it with all their fingers and hold the thumb, but as long as you have part of your hand on top and part of your hand on bottom, because the purpose of a pattern is really just to make the outline, right? On the fabric. So I happen just to like holding either my thumb and pointer finger? Thumb and...
The pointer, I think.
Wow, I do not remember what that was called. Thumb and pointer finger on top, or sometimes I hold it like this. But either way, as long as you're kind of clasping it so that it's nice and flat. Because what you don't want to happen is to be cutting out your pattern and then your felt to kind of pull away.
So then this one you don't really get around these.
I would say give yourself a little bit of space. Like if it's a lot of space, it's a lot of space. As long as it's even. But see, I'm not probably going to cut these exact knuckles. I'm just going to make a general shape like that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, because we're going to do now if you're not adding in these additional details with the stitching, you might want to be more precise with your cutting. But it'll probably look like a blob, to be honest. And if you want to just cut straight across up here, you absolutely can.
Okay, and then just go in.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly right. How to manage these sort of little details when you're cutting is to make the shape as simple as possible and then make indents. That's kind of how, like we had with the little corner. So, and again, you can make this project honestly as simple or as complicated. And if you're like, no, I actually want to print the hand with a Sharpie, that's also fine too. And then you glue the hand on, that's also fine too. As simple or as complicated as you want to make this is really, see, look at you go.
Woohoo!
And like I said before, if these shapes are feeling too hard to cut out, feel free to print them and enlarge or print at 200% or 300% or whatever that screen is in your printing menu or whatever, the pre-printing menu, because that will make it so that the shapes are chunkier and chunkier. Look at how easy that was.
That was pretty
Ta-da!
easy. Should I do this part too, do you think?
You can if you want. I don't know that it really super matters, but if you're looking at your shape and you think, yeah, that would be way better, then absolutely. Yeah. Oh, love it. You're doing amazing. Okay, so then pull your pins. Are you not done on this side?
I might do this one a little bit.
Perfect. Yeah, so see how Kira cut the shape a little bit more generic and then she's notching it out? That's exactly what should happen. Exactly. Perfect. Now pull your pins off and we can get to embroidering or stitching. So there's a couple different kinds of stitches that I'm going to show you, but as you can see, if you pull your patterns off and grab one of your background pieces right side out, you can kind of start to see how this is going to come together. So place your finger, on there. Are you opposite? Yours is inverted, so flip it. Not that it maybe really matters, but then, so grab the other piece. And then put because remember when we cut two of these? Yeah. So that it probably just got flipped the other way here. I'm going to notch this out. Just a second.
Do those fingers, do you think they need to be like circular more?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's a good observation.
Will you do that part for me?
I absolutely will. Here, I'm just going to go like this.
Okay.
Make them a little bit more circular. And that's something that sometimes as you're cutting, it's actually kind of hard to see if there's a pattern over top. So it's so common that I'll get done with something and go, oh boy, I need to change that or whatever. Yeah. Move that around or cut that differently or something. So here we go. So look at.
Okay, that's really cute.
It's really cute. Okay, so we're gonna take the top layer of your background.
Okay, this one?
Just one layer of the background, and then set your other layer aside, because the whole idea of the plushie is that we have obviously a front and a back, and when we put them together, it's gonna be stuffed with something in the middle, right? And that's what makes it plush. So there's two sides, a back and a front. And whenever you're making something, like I said, if you want to make it easy and you just want to glue toppings on, or toppings, I say because of pizza. That's what I did with these. These are glued on the top and then stitched on the edge. This is glued on the top and stitched on the edge. Either way, whether you embroider like that or you glue, the idea of making a plushie is that you're kind of decorating the top like a cookie, right? Yes, you're decorating the top like a cookie, and then we're putting them together. So this background piece we don't need until the very, very end.
Okay, perfect.
Right, and the only thing that I would say is even a teensy ouncy tricky about this pattern is just visualizing where these fingers go. And like if you're referencing your pattern that we cut from, visualizing where the fingers go, it's right here. So I would say think in your brain. I always say this to kids, think in your mind before you decide.
Yeah, I need to.
Think in your mind before you decide what color you want your stitching to be. Obviously, it can be as eclectic as like neon pink, or you can go with like a simple dark brown. I'm actually going to go with this like blue color. I think that would be really fun. And we are using embroidery floss today. Okay. And I love to stitch with embroidery floss because it's chunky. Like it's a thick, embroidery floss is, I think it's like 8 strands technically of yeah. I mean, because I think if you're a true embroiderer, that when you're embroidering, you like separate your stitches and you separate your string. We're not going to do that today because I like how thick this is. So pull the wrapping off of each side.
So this is for embroidering?
Yeah, this is embroidery floss. Oh. Also for friendship bracelets, in case you were like me and made 900 million friendship bracelets in the course of your life and had them hanging off of your Nalgene bottle at camp. Yep. That was 100% me. So there should be an end.
Yeah, mine's like a little.
That's okay. This is how all good crafters craft supply looks, is like you pull it out and it's just all tangled. Okay, so you have an end. And I like to tell people, don't start with something that is like the longest in the world because it's just going to get tangled. So a yard is good, I think. And a yard is about the tip of your nose to the end of your finger. Like ish. I know, this is... Riddles are often easy to... Let me show you a trick on how to thread your needle. Can I show you this real quick? Okay, so If you're teaching kiddos how to thread your needle, or if you need to know how to thread a needle, grab a piece of paper. Can I show you with yours? Or actually, no, you do it with me.
Okay.
Hello, you do it with me. Okay, grab a piece of paper, like a thin strip of paper, and fold it in half like this. So it's just a folded piece of paper. Looks like a piece of confetti. Stick your string into the bottom-most folded part. Yep, and it can come out the other end. It doesn't matter how much string you have in there. Yep, just like that. And pull out so there's like a little bit of a tail. There you go. And then all you're gonna do, mine needs to be thinner, hang on.
Does this look good?
Yeah. All you're gonna do is, okay, clearly the tiny little piece of paper is tricky. Is stick, rather than sticking the end of your thread in there, you're just gonna stick the end of your needle, or the end of your paper right through your needle's eye. So yours might be.
So this part?
Yep. So just get the paper through there, and then pull the paper all the way through, and you should then be able to thread your needle.
If I can get it.
Getting in. I know, this is the hard part.
It's a little tricky.
If your thread is starting to separate, give it a little lick, which I know is not like COVID friendly, but just don't share your germs with your neighbor. Please. Is it getting in there?
No, it's like a little bit. Oh wait, okay, we're making progress.
Yeah. Is it maybe too big? Here, let me see. Oh yeah, it's just a little bit too big. Here, let's try this. So the key is, I should have said this first, cut your strip of paper no wider than the eye of your needle. Here, just use this one.
Okay.
Because this one's already cut. So fold it in half. That one's folded in half.
Okay.
And then here, grab your thread, insert it into your, and you can have as much thread coming out the other side of that piece of paper as you want. And then all you're gonna do is stick your piece of paper through your needle.
Oh, okay, this would be easier.
Yep. There you go. Stick it through, and then pull your paper through, and then take your paper off.
Okay.
And pull there we go. So you just threaded a needle.
I feel so proud of myself.
Okay, so there's two different parts of your thread that are maybe kind of important to know.
Okay.
Your tail, which is this part, that tail part, and then like your main part, right? And the only thing that matters when you're hand stitching is not letting your tail get so short that it comes right out of your eye when you're stitching, but also not letting it get too long that you're stitching with both pieces of thread at the same time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Would this be a good length then for like the eye?
It'd be, maybe like a little bit longer. Pull a little bit longer through there. Yeah. Yep. There you go. Yeah. Okay. So you can use a pin or a clip if you want to hold your hand in place if you want. So remember, stick it through, and I would do it in like the meat of the hand down here.
Okay.
Fold it in half, and then stick your pin out. Ooh, Lucy just said, if you put chapstick on the end of your needle, on the eye of your needle, it helps thread for the first time better. That is like awesome. That's a good tip. I know.
I'm going to try that now.
I know. Great tip, Lucy. I really like that. All right, so you can either do two different things. You can tie a knot at the end of your string if you really want to, or my grandma used to say, knotting is rotten. I don't know. She was a quilter, so I think knots in quilts is a bad thing because it adds a knot in your quilt. So here's what I like to tell people to do. To anchor your stitch, you just need to make an X 2 times. So turn your hand over.
Okay.
And you're gonna make an X by inserting your needle and grabbing a little bit of your thread or a little bit of your fabric.
Like that?
Yep. And pulling it all the way, except for don't pull your thread all the way through. See how I'm stopping it?
So to like right the eye at the end of the eye.
Right at the end. Yeah, sometimes it's with felt it's a little tricky. You sometimes have to just like pull.
Like that?
Yep, so pull all the way through. So the end of my needle, keep going. So you're not pulling your thread, you're stopping it before the thread comes through the hole.
Oh, okay, so.
Yep, keep going. Keep going.
Oops.
Yeah, you can make your tail as long as you want to make your tail. And then stop. And then you're going to go make an X. So then you're going to go the other direction or a plus sign. and then don't pull super hard.
Like that?
Exactly like that. Yep, and then pull. Yep, keep pulling. Oh, yeah, sometimes with these thicker needles, they have a thicker head on them, so it's just a little bit trickier to get through the fabric. Yep, so pull, pull, pull. Keep pulling, and just don't pull super duper hard. So you're gonna make a plus and a minus. Yep, so keep going so it's...
Oh, so this part doesn't...
Yep.
Okay.
So basically you're anchoring your stitch.
Oh,
there we go.
Interesting.
And then you're gonna do just one more, the opposite, the first direction, and look at. You don't have to make a knot. So go one more, the first direction that you went.
Oh, like right here?
Yep.
Can I go?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not all the way through. So you're doing one more, just like you did the very first thing. You're just like, remember how we made our plus sign?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to the front. I'm just grabbing a little bit of the fabric because all we're doing is anchoring our stitch.
Here, will you show me like this?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So we're just going like this.
Oh.
Yep, that's all we're doing. So see how like this is super strong, I'm pulling on it, but I didn't make a knot. So all you're doing is anchoring your stitch so that now it's secure.
Okay.
There you go. So let's pull your tail through. And
Thank
now
you.
we're gonna get to stitching. So this here is called a running stitch. It's basically up, down, up, down, up, down. And the only thing you have to worry about is the length between the stitches, that they're even. You don't even have to make them even. If you wanna make them even, that's what I'd recommend, but you don't have to. So you start, and again, I like to hold my fabric in my left hand.
Okay.
And then I'm holding my needle in my right hand, because you're right-handed, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm right-handed.
Okay. Whew, good. And then all we're gonna do is go up.
Okay, so since I did mine at the top, would I start
Yep,
there?
just start at the top. Yep, exactly.
It doesn't matter where?
It does not matter where.
Okay.
I like to start, I mean, if you look at our example here, you wanna start a little bit in from the edge because you don't want your stitches to be, the idea is that you're stitching your hand to the background. Yep, so you want it to be, there we go, perfect. Now just pull all the way up. Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
And then you're gonna go down.
Oh.
It's literally that easy.
Oh, this is really easy.
I know. And you'll get the hang of keeping your stitches even, which is gonna be like keeping your stitches, you know, like the same length apart from the edge and the same length. I know, are you so proud?
I'm really proud of myself right now. I'm like, woo!
I know, right? And you'll get the hang of keeping your stitches, like I said, even, the same length, distance apart from the edge, and then the same length apart.
Okay.
Yep, so just keep going all the way around.
Yeah, I'm trying to like get it so it goes even.
That's where like, you know, like hand-eye coordination sort of practice is gonna make perfect. It's gonna make better. I don't like that phrase, practice makes perfect, because it doesn't. But it's gonna make better.
Yep.
Okay.
And
And honestly, you're doing amazing. So this is where kids always get tripped up, right? Is because they're like, but it's, you know, they're doing a huge stitch and then a tiny stitch and then a huge stitch. But really, yeah, exactly what you're doing.
Okay.
And you're gonna keep going. So the one thing to note as you're going is you're coming down from the top.
Yeah.
So what I would say is I would go all the way around the outside, and then once you get to the thumb, we'll kind of make our extra little thummy part.
okay, sounds
Yeah.
good. And so it's up, down, up,
Yep,
down.
it's literally just up, down, up, down, up, down. And like I said before, if this is feeling too complicated and all you want to do is draw with a Sharpie and glue your hand to your background, that's also okay too. Because there's one other stitch that is, oopsies, look at what I just did. I just kept going up and I wrapped my, so if this happens, all you have to do is take your needle off of your thread or grab a pin and just carefully pull your thread back out. It's just like any other crafting. Nothing is non-fixable, I feel like.
Yeah, you can always go back.
Yep,
and
everything is fixable.
How long have you been doing hand sewing then?
I feel like it's one of those things I learned as a teenager or as a kid, and it's once you have this sort of skill and this rhythm in your hand, it's easy to put down and pick back up in your life, right?
Yeah.
Because the one thing I remember in college, the one thing I really wanted to learn was embroidery, and I thought, oh my gosh, this feels really complicated. And I learned so fast that it's really just this. So this running stitch we're doing is like the basic stitch that is,
Yeah.
I mean, you can mend a pair of pants with this running stitch. You can
You
hem
can?
a shirt. Oh my gosh, yeah, you absolutely can. I know.
That is, wow.
So I feel like this stitch is like kind of the basis of a lot of things. And I learned like, oh, heck, embroidery is actually just a variation of a couple different stitches and how you like wrap your thread around your needle and like all the ways that they make it look a lot prettier than I'm giving it credit to. But yeah, it's, I mean, now you could hand sew a dress if you really wanted to, but I feel like that would take forever.
That'll be my next project, I think.
My kids and I are listening to the Laura Ingalls Wilder series because my daughter's really into it, and she literally just this morning was like, Mom, but how did they go to Target? Did they have cars? And I'm like, oh, honey. Like,
oh, no.
They made their own clothes by stitching them. They went to the covered wagon situation or whatever, and like, it's just a whole nother world that I don't even think we understand.
No, is she learning about that in school right now?
She is, yeah.
Aww.
So they wanted to listen to the books, and I thought, okay, sure, why not? Audible for the win.
Audible is so nice, especially for like road trips and everything.
Yes, right? And speaking of road trips, I actually hand stitch a ton on road trips.
You do?
Mm-hmm. Because here's why. The needles are bigger, the thread is bigger, and you don't have to finish your edges because we use felt, honestly. Like, it's an easy thing, and you can put in a little Ziploc baggie or a little, even like Tupperware container. It's all contained. It's not a humongous project, right? Like, you totally could take this on a car trip.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, obviously when I'm not driving, of course.
Does it ever get hard driving and working this?
Yeah, I mean, if you're probably like driving on like a mountainous dirt road where you're bumping around everywhere, that would be tricky. We have a few questions. Tolly said, this is cute. I'm not good at coming up with ideas, but what else could you make? A heart, a star. Yes, we have, look at how simple this shape is for little ideas. This is just what is this, half circle? What would you call this? Arc?
Yeah, an arc.
An arc?
Yeah.
An arc with a flat bottom. And this is three different arcs with flat bottoms, and then I added pom-poms to make it a rainbow. So this one's even more simpler than what we're doing. I have an ice cream cone right here that my daughter started that she did not finish because she got distracted. So this is a work in progress. And her needles are a lot less sharp because she's 6. So her needles are darning needles, which I know a lot of knitters use. So the only thing that makes it trickier is when you're putting your needle through the felt. She does it one layer at a time because it just is a little bit harder to get through because it's not as pokey. But that's a really fun one. There's a peace sign. My son had made this one, which his stitching, I was very impressed with this one.
That is very nice.
I know. I think I helped him with the edging. I feel like I remember that. We have lips. I mean, obviously, some lips, any shape. I have pizzas. This is a really fun, this whole like triangle, I would say think of simple shapes like circles or triangles or squares, and then you always can do something on top of it. Like our background shape could be an oval instead of a more,
like this one?
Yeah,
okay.
It could totally be an oval if you wanted it to, or a rectangle, or a circle. So simple shapes are easy. Yeah, and we also have another question of what the end goal is with these. And I do have some that are little backpack tags, right? A keychain, or this is going on a backpack. This is also a backpack one because it just goes on a keychain. This is a pillow, so bigger ones can be like a little pillow plushie. My daughter has slept with this one because she thinks it's just the greatest. She named it, and I don't remember what she named it. And then this one, like I said, there's little lavender. So before I finished sewing it up, you can see where my entry point was. I put some lavender in here, and this has been in my sock drawer for a while.
Do you put like essential oil lavender in it?
You totally could. I had like, it was like a pack from, I think Joann's or something. It was like dried, like when the lavender, like it's like little tiny little seed things.
Yeah.
It dries, and then it's like little seedy looking things. They're in like a pack, and it smells. I'm sure there's a way that it gets dried to make the smell stay or something, but
lavender's such a good smell.
I know.
And the essential oil.
Right. Yeah, you totally could. I'm sure there's a way you could even like dab the fabric with essential oils or like or rice even?
Yeah, like just like.
Yeah, does essential oils soak into rice?
Okay, so how's this looking?
Look at that is awesome.
Okay, and then I go all the way up here?
Yep,
or
I'd go all the way. No, I'd go all the way up there, and then we'll add these finger details at the very end.
Cool.
I like how even your stitches are. Are you proud?
I'm so proud of myself.
This is the thing with crafting is you look at it and go, oh my gosh, I made that.
I know. I'm really impressed with myself.
Awesome.
Because sometimes I try these things. I'll try a new crafting project. Like I just try teaching myself to crochet, and then I just like give up after a few times. I'm like, can't do it. But this I could do.
This you can do. So as we're gonna I'm gonna finish this little part so I can show you the blanket stitch on the side.
Okay.
Just so that we can keep moving. So here we go. So yeah, are you done with your outside yet?
Almost.
That's pretty awesome. So the blanket stitch for the side. Don't give up, Kira. You can crochet. You got this. Everybody's like cheering you on online. This is amazing. All right. So when you're done with all your details, I'm just going to skip a little bit ahead while Kira's still stitching a little bit because I want to explain it and then I'm going to have her do it. So when you're done with all of the details of your hand, take off. Obviously, your hand will be attached to the background and pin both sides together. And all you have to know is that you will have to leave a little bit of an opening to stuff it. Okay. But I'm going to show this and then I'm going to have you do a few stitches while we kind of keep going here. So that running stitch, absolutely you could do along the edges. That running stitch, like I said, is really versatile and is kind of like the base. Now that you know that stitch, you can kind of do anything. I mean, really, the sky's the limit.
Like Kim Possible said, she can do anything.
Kim Possible. That's awesome. Okay. So, all right. I like to hide all of my stitches. I don't want people to see. Like you can see back here that you can't really, I mean, there's maybe a little giveaway right there. But on the back of these, it's not super obvious where I started and stopped. So just like before, are you at a place where you can stop for just like even, like that? Yeah, why don't you pull it all the way through?
Okay.
Yep, pull it all the way through. There we go, yep. And then I'm gonna show you, can you pull, no, keep your needle on. I'm gonna show you this and then you can work on this one a little bit.
Okay.
So just like we did, remember how we anchored our stitch? Actually, can you find what you want for your outside stitch?
For a color?
Mm-hmm, this outside blanket stitch.
What would look good with it?
You could just do that blue again if you really wanted to, or you could do it darker.
What about this?
Yeah, love it. Mm-hmm. So cut off a yard, remember, nose to fingertip.
Oh, yes.
Nose to fingertip. Cut off a yard. Just want to make sure we're making use of our time. Perfect.
Okay.
Sometimes I stand in the fabric store and I'm like measuring.
Just doing that in the
store.
store.
People are like, oh boy, what has happened with her?
Okay.
So remember, let's thread our needle, or you don't have your needle here. Let's give you this needle right here. Let's just give you 2 different needles. So here, remember, thread your needle. So fold that in half. Fold your paper in half, yep. And then put your end of your needle in there, or end of your thread in there, and then thread the paper through the needle.
What do you think of this length?
Yeah, sure. Okay. This is an easy way to get to thread your needle. Although the chapstick theory, now I feel like I want to know the chapstick theory.
I know, that'll be fun to try.
Yep. Oh, you doing it?
Ooh, it's so close.
Sometimes without fingernails, sometimes I don't have.
I don't have
fingernails, and it's like you want to just like grab, or maybe tweezers. Maybe I should always just craft with tweezers.
Ooh, that'd be good.
That'd be good. You got it. I see it. Here, let me help you.
Okay.
I see it through. Might just be a little big for the eye of the needle. There we go. Just yank it.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm just going to show you this blanket stitch so you have all the skills to finish it later.
Okay.
So we're going to anchor our stitch again, which remember is a plus and a minus. So remember no knots, but plus and minus. So remember how we did the plus?
Yes.
And then the minus.
Okay.
Right? So all it is just the sign.
Okay,
so,
I'll have to watch you again.
Yeah,
probably.
that's fine. So the one thing we have to do is put your background behind, so I have both layers of my background together. Mm-hmm. So normally you'd finish all the whole top and then we're gonna do the bottom, but just for time's sake, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a quick demo.
Okay.
Yep, and then do you wanna throw a pin between there so that all 3 layers are together like this. Perfect. Just like that. Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
Is it okay if this is like bent, or should I?
It's okay. Yeah,
Okay.
mine is a little bit too. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. Okay, so we're gonna hide our stitch again by doing it in between the layers.
Okay.
So just pull apart your layers a little bit. And then we're gonna do it kind of close to the edge, just because we're gonna be coming out the side,
Okay.
right? So you're gonna do a plus sign. So remember, in and out, but don't pull
Too hard?
Yeah, or don't pull your thread all the way through. Remember, you're gonna
Yeah.
stop it.
Is it supposed to be like this?
Yeah, so
Okay.
keep going. Yep, keep going. Yep, and remember, don't pull it out of the hole.
Okay.
Yep, just like that. And then
Okay.
go the other direction to make a plus. So you went one way, now we're
Now
going the
this
other
way?
way. Yep. Perfect. You have all these skills now, just from 30 minutes of crafting,
I know, I'm so excited.
right?
Okay.
And then you're gonna do a minus. So that was a plus sign, so a minus sign is just one more straight across.
Okay, so where would I do that at
Same thing,
again?
just over top, right over top. Yep,
Like that?
yep, now pull it through.
Okay.
And now, it should be, yep, you're secure, right? So you can, yeah, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do, and this is just a really simple blanket stitch, and we're not gonna go all the way around because I want you to be able to finish the detail on the top. Now, instead of, you can do a running stitch, which is the up, down, if you really want to, but I'm gonna show you how to do a blanket stitch. So come up from the bottom, through both layers, right?
Okay.
And pull, but before you pull all the way through, put your needle back through the loop. Just this loop, this thread loop right here.
Oh, okay. So this one?
Yep. And then pull a little tight. Like not super crazy tight, but yep, just like that. Just like that. Yep, perfect. Keep going, keep going. So that it's nice, so that the stitch becomes tight to the edge.
Okay.
Just like that. Yep, perfect. A little tiny bit tighter, just so it's nice. There we go. And then go up from the bottom to the top. And then before you pull through, put your needle back through the loop again. Oops. You got it, you got it. I know sometimes going through 2 layers is a little bit tricky.
Looks like a little tangled thing in there.
A tentacle.
Tentacle, yes.
There you go. Okay, so then go back through the loop before you pull.
This one?
Yep. Yep. Look it. And so what it's creating is not only does it have the stitch on the top, but it finishes the side. So look at the side of your thing. Look how there's a stitch on the side.
Okay, yeah.
Look how finished that looks. This is called a blanket stitch. So up from the top, or up from bottom to top.
This way or this way?
Bottom to top. Yep, there we go. Yeah, yep. And then pull again, but before you pull all the way tight, put your needle through the loop.
This one?
Yep. Look at that. Look at how good that looks.
Ooh.
And so just sort of, if you're a crocheter or a knitter, you know that tension is a word that they use. So the only thing that is interesting to keep in mind is making sure that you're not pulling one stitch really tight and then one stitch really loose. So as long as it's the same level of tightness or tautness, you're good. So you just repeat this.
So you always come from the bottom
Always come from the bottom to the
Okay.
top on a blanket stitch. And again, practice will come in learning how to keep it all, similar distance away, similar stitch length. And that is the whole essence of how to make these plushies, is that we have our top piece, which is our peace sign. We have our background, which consists of 2 pieces. And all we're doing today is attaching our peace sign to the one layer of the background and then attaching both backgrounds together. So in this case, we attached the literal peace sign to the gray background and then attached both gray backgrounds together. In this case, we attached the sauce and the toppings to the top of the crust, and then we attached both crusts together. Okay. So that's in theory exactly what we're doing. Yeah.
So if I forgot to go through the loop,
That's
how
okay.
can I go
That's
backwards?
okay. So then all you do to go backwards, this is a great question. All you can ever do is take your needle off and then use your needle to just gently pull the stitch out. Just like that, right?
Yeah, that looks easy.
Yeah. So what you can do though, but so that you don't get going along too far, is continue finishing out your detail on top.
Okay.
But I just wanted to show you that blanket stitch because
Okay.
we're kind of running out of time. But if you have any other questions, please pipe in because we would love to answer them. This has been a fun crafternoon.
I know. I'm having so much fun.
And of course, before you seal everything up, you can use these little bits of extra fabric. You can use stuffing. You can use, like we talked about, dried lavender to fill up your plushie. But the thing with stitching and hand stitching that I think is so cool is that it's so versatile, right? Like you can mend your shirt, you can make a pillow, you can make a keychain, you can make earrings. Did it come off?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. And I think like the fun part is exactly that of like, it's versatile. You can do anything with it. Hang on, I can't talk and
No, you're good.
barely stitch at the same time. But so I hope today is just more or less inspired you and crafted. You were able to craft along with us today. I have a couple more questions. It's actually just a lot of props to you, Kira.
Oh, thank you.
People are like literally cheering you on from the UK.
Love it.
Grandma Pam is here watching you, I guess. Grandma Pam.
My grandma loves the knit, so I've always been around the crafting.
People from Canada, New Mexico, we had a lot of people watching, cheering you on, really saying that you were doing a great
Thank
job.
you. This is my first time,
I know.
so I'm really proud of myself.
I know, it's awesome. So we can fill it with dried lavender or polyfill or put a keychain on it or whatever you feel like suits the goal for this. And like I said, the whole idea is just to get crafting and to get out these simple materials, which to me is felt, a needle, maybe some pins and some yarn or some thread, and get at it. And it's fun for kids too. Man, it's pretty awesome. So do you have any last questions before we sign off?
Honestly, I'm just having so much fun with this.
You're going to be here for the rest of the weekend, probably just sitting here crafting. Yep. We're all going to come in on Monday, and you're going to have like a village built in front of you.
I'll have just like a little town of places. So when it comes down to it, how do I take this off?
Awesome. That's a good question. So that is a great question that I didn't mention. So remember how we did our plus and our minus to end our stitch, right? So go back through the back layer.
Okay. It looks like
Oh, it's okay. It just got, look at it.
Oh!
Yep, it's just stuck there. You're fine.
Okay,
so go, from the top to bottom and end. You always want to hide your stitches. You're going to end it in between the two layers. There we go. Yeah, just like that. And then do another plus and minus.
Right here?
Yep, right there, over top of each other. Because all that's going to do is anchor the stitch so that it's nice. And you could do a knot. Again, you could do a knot if you really, really wanted to.
So just in the back layer again?
Just in that back layer, exactly. See, you know exactly what you're doing.
Ooh.
You figured it all out.
I can't.
So Kira's going to keep crafting. Make sure to download the pattern, the PDF pattern. It'll have all the written instructions. Make any comments if you need any questions, if you have any more questions. But we hope that you had fun crafting with our crafternoon.
Crafternoon.
Crafternoon. Thanks for joining us.